Are you ready to step into the world of unsolved mysteries? In today's video, we will explore 3 real-life stories that have shaken the world and sparked debates for decades. Number 1. The Mystery of the Amityville House, the 1974 case and the unresolved controversies. A house on Ocean Avenue, once the site of a horrifying tragedy, continues to haunt those who live there with eerie stories. Was this truly a crime, or are the supernatural accounts nothing more than legend? Number 2. The haunting story of young Anneliese Michel. A devoted young woman, a battle between faith and science, a series of exorcisms shrouded in controversy, and a shocking conclusion that stunned the world. What is the real truth behind this story? Number 3. Decoding the Dyatlov Pass incident, a mystery lasting over 60 years. A group of Soviet students found dead under bizarre circumstances, unexplained injuries, and a wide range of theories, from natural disasters and psychological effects to supernatural forces. Despite decades of investigation, no definitive answer has been found. Warning: these are real stories, based on historical events, and may not be suitable for younger audiences. Please consider before watching. Do you believe in the theories presented? What do you think is the real truth behind these cases? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and let's discuss. Hit like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next mysterious story. Now, let's step into the world of unsolved mysteries. Number 1. The Mystery of the Amityville House, the 1974 case and the unresolved controversies. As we've mentioned, this is the haunting story surrounding the infamous Amityville house. But what exactly made this house so terrifying? And why has it inspired so many famous films about its eerie past? Located at 112 Ocean Avenue, in the town of Babylon, Suffolk County, New York, the Amityville house only gained widespread recognition after a horrific event shook its walls: the murder of 6 family members on a chilling night in 1974. The victims included Ronald DeFeo Sr., Louise DeFeo, and their 4 children: Dawn, 18 years old, Allison, 13 years old, Mark, 12 years old, and John Matthew, 9 years old. Now, more than 50 years later, this tragic case continues to captivate public attention, with numerous theories and debates still surrounding what truly happened that night. The legend of the Amityville Horror has sparked the creation of at least 14 films worldwide, including 12 major motion pictures, such as The Amityville Horror, 1979. Amityville 2, The Possession, 1982. Amityville 3D, The Demon, 1983. Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes, 1989. The Amityville Curse, 1990. Amityville 1992, It's About Time, 1992. Amityville, A New Generation, 1993. Amityville Dollhouse, Evil Never Dies, 1996. The Amityville Horror, 2005. The Amityville Haunting, 2011. And Amityville, The Awakening, 2017. But did you know? Amityville is a name given by the public to one of the most infamous haunted houses in history. This was once the home of 7 members of the DeFeo family, but it only became globally recognized after the nightmarish crime that took place inside. On the evening of November 13, 1974, while Ronald "Butch" DeFeo was attending a party, his family was discovered to have been killed in their private home, an event that shocked public opinion. A noteworthy point is that the victims were found in a vulnerable position and showed no signs of resistance, which sparked numerous theories about the case. Shortly thereafter, the Suffolk County Police determined that this was a murder case in which the killer could have been a familiar member of the family. New York police quickly began their investigation and found 6 traps in the house located at 112 Ocean Avenue. The only surviving member of the family, Ronald, was taken to the local police station for his safety, after he told the officers at the scene that the murder had been carried out by a man named Louis Fellini. However, surprisingly, after the police investigated and interrogated Louis Fellini, they pointed out numerous inconsistencies in his testimony. Soon after, Ronald DeFeo admitted responsibility for the crime, and the investigation clarified many details surrounding the event. As for the suspect accused by Ronald, there was alibi evidence showing that at the time of the crime, he was not present in the state. Ronald DeFeo stated that he had experienced hallucinations and heard voices in his head, which was taken into account during the investigation into his mental state. The case concluded with Ronald receiving a sentence of 150 years in prison. His mental state remained unstable, easily agitated, and he was frequently haunted by those voices. After the massacre, the house was left abandoned for a time due to the horrifying rumors surrounding it. Then, many mysterious and terrifying events began to occur when George Lutz, the owner of a real estate company, along with the 3 stepchildren of his wife Kathy, moved into the house. They decided to purchase the house because they believed it was the ideal home for their family, but soon after, a series of inexplicable mysterious events began to occur one after another. As soon as the family was preparing to arrange their belongings, they discovered unusual phenomena. First, flies swarmed around the house, followed by the appearance of eerie cold spots in the rooms and hallways, then strange scents and terrifying sounds during the night. The Lutz family stated that they had experienced bizarre phenomena, such as an unusual, chilling sensation and dreams related to the previous case. The Lutz family recounted that they had undergone inexplicable phenomena, such as an unusual, chilling sensation, strange dreams, and odd sounds appearing in the house. The George Lutz family also discovered a secret room that was not on the floor plan, which they called the Red Room, because of the distinctive red color on its walls. The dog, Harry, inexplicably would growl and bark whenever he approached the room. The Lutz family mentioned that they frequently woke up at 3:15 a.m., coinciding with the time that the previous murder, the death of the DeFeo family, was said to have occurred. This was the time when the murder took place, the death hour of the DeFeo family. Mr. George frequently heard strange sounds, sometimes even being awakened by them. However, whenever he ran toward the source of the sound, it would vanish. One evening, Mr. George saw 2 bright red spots on his daughter's room window. When he ran upstairs, he found nothing. The little girl explained that it was a friend named Jody, who appeared as a pig-like figure with bright, striped red eyes in the night. Additionally, the door frames and locks in the house were inexplicably damaged. A blue liquid leaked from the wall crevices and the attic. A crucifix, measuring up to 12 inches, in one of the rooms would continuously spin until it eventually fell to the ground. The air around the house was always filled with a chilly and putrid odor, even though there was nothing present and no air conditioning at all. Local detective Stephen Kaplan was invited to investigate the house. However, the strange phenomena persisted unabated. There was some force strong enough to rip doors off their hinges at night. Mrs. Kathy discovered an unusual red spot on her chest, and when she went to bed at night and woke up in the morning, she found herself rotated sideways from her original position. Mr. George claimed he saw something appear and then immediately vanish in the storage room. The family invited a priest to perform a prayer ritual. Some of those present reported that they had experienced phenomena they could not explain. Feeling hopeless in the face of the relentless supernatural events, George and Kathy decided to move elsewhere. They ended up living there for only 28 days. The story of the Amityville house became even more famous after Daniel Lutz, one of Kathy's children, who had remained silent for about 40 years, decided to recount everything that had happened. He blamed his stepfather, George, for having opened the door to the presence of dark, uncontrollable forces. To this day, the mysterious events surrounding the Amityville house at 112 Ocean Avenue continue to attract the attention of both the public and the media. Number 2, the haunting story of the young girl Anneliese Michel. This unfortunate girl is Anneliese Michel, born on September 21, 1952, in a rural area of Bavaria in western Germany. According to those who knew her, Anneliese was a devout child, immensely loving and devoted to God, In addition, she was a diligent, sweet, endearing girl who was extremely obedient to her mother. Previously, in 1948, Anneliese's mother, Anna, gave birth to an illegitimate child named Martha, which brought such disgrace to the family that on her wedding day, she was forced to wear a black wedding dress. After Anneliese was born, Anna raised her daughter to be a pious child, dedicating her entire life to God in an attempt to atone for the sins of the past. When Anneliese was 8 years old, Anna's daughter Martha died from complications following a kidney tumor surgery. Being a sensitive child, Anneliese increasingly felt that she must take on the responsibility of atoning for her mother's sins before God. Anneliese was constantly tormented by an obsessive worry about the sins committed by people and a desire to free herself from them. While teenagers in the 1960s spent their days and nights exploring the limits of their freedom, Anneliese would sleep on the floor every night to atone on behalf of the drug addicts who slept rough at the train station. In 1968, Anneliese began to experience seizures, during which she lost control of her body. Although doctors diagnosed these episodes as manifestations of epilepsy, from then on, Anneliese claimed that she frequently saw demonic hallucinations whenever she prayed. By 1973, her condition worsened considerably. Anneliese fell into a state of deep depression and severe crisis. She reported that she often heard strange sounds that no one else could hear. On 2 occasions, she pleaded with a local pastor to allow an exorcism to rid her of the demon within her, but her requests were denied. Day after day, Anneliese sank further into despair. She would kneel up to 600 times each day, to the extent that her knee ligaments were torn. She crawled on the floor, lost control of her bodily functions, urinated indiscriminately, even ate insects, and spent the entire day screaming and cursing. People around her advised the family to take Anneliese to a hospital for treatment, yet they remained convinced that the demon within her could only be subdued and expelled through an exorcism. In September 1975, the Bishop of Würzburg finally approved the exorcism, permitting Father Arnold Renz and Father Ernst Alt to perform the ritual on Anneliese. During this period, Anneliese refused any medical intervention from the hospital. Her symptoms were later compared to schizophrenia, a condition that, at the time, could have been treated with psychological therapy and medication. Many opinions suggest that Anneliese's deteriorating condition was partly due to her being influenced by a book on exorcism by William Friedkin, published in 1973. Additionally, the relentless and brutal exorcism rituals carried out continuously over many months may have contributed to the worsening of her psychological illness, leading her to experience more hallucinations and descend further into madness. Over the course of nearly 10 months, Anneliese underwent 67 exorcism sessions, ranging from 1 to 2 per week, with each session lasting up to 4 hours. Her autopsy revealed that she suffered from severe malnutrition. Once a vibrant young girl, Anneliese was reduced to a state of extreme exhaustion, with her health significantly deteriorated due to lack of nutrition. She believed that by starving herself, she could weaken Satan's hold over her. In the spring of 1976, Anneliese contracted pneumonia and a high fever. She became so weak that she could no longer kneel on her own and had to be supported by her parents during prayers. Anneliese continued to struggle until July 1, 1976, when she passed away. The forensic report indicated that she died from malnutrition, which had left her body utterly depleted. This case raised many questions about the conduct of exorcism rituals in the past. In 1984, German bishops submitted a proposal to Rome to review the exorcism rite. Although this proposal was not approved, the Vatican did introduce a revision of the rite in 1999, the first such revision since the 17th century, stipulating that all priests must undergo medical training before being qualified to perform exorcisms. Ulrich Niemann, a Jesuit priest and neurologist whom exorcists often consult during exorcisms, told the Washington Post in 2005, "From my perspective as a doctor, I do not believe that possession exists. To me, these are patients with mental health issues. I pray with them, but at the same time I must treat them as a neurologist." It would be a mistake for me to ignore their faith when dealing with a patient who believes they are possessed by demons. Scholar Heike Schwartz, author of Beware of the Other Sides, Multiple Personality Disorder and Dissociative, argues that cases considered to be demonic possession are merely manifestations of dissociative identity disorder. Number 3. Decoding the Dyatlov Pass Incident, a mystery that lasted over 60 years. For more than half a century, investigators and amateur detectives have grappled with the mystery surrounding the strange deaths of 9 hikers in the former Soviet Union in 1959. Yet, the truth may be astonishingly simple. The story began on the evening of January 28, 1959, when a 23-year-old young man named Igor Alexeyevich Dyatlov led a group of 8 people, mostly from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, in the former Soviet Union, on an expedition to conquer Otorten, a mountain in the northern Urals. Before setting out, Dyatlov told a member of his sports club that he would send a telegram immediately upon their return. However, that telegram was never sent, and none of the expedition members survived to return home. They all perished in what became known as the Dyatlov Pass Incident. When the scheduled return date, February 20, 1959, passed without any communication from the group, a team of volunteer rescuers was dispatched. They reached Dyatlov Pass and found the campsite abandoned. Consequently, military investigators and police were called in to determine what had happened to the expedition. The subsequent discoveries raised numerous unanswered questions, making the case one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. Upon arriving at the campsite, the first thing the investigators noticed was that the tent had been cut open from the inside. They then discovered 8 or 9 sets of footprints leading into the forest, about 1 mile from the camp. Notably, many of these footprints clearly belonged to individuals who were not wearing socks or were wearing only one shoe. Yet, this was only the trail leading to an even more horrifying scene. At the edge of the forest, beneath the boughs of a large Siberian fir, investigators found traces of a small fire and the first 2 bodies. However, this was only the beginning of a series of mysterious findings. Despite the extremely low temperatures that night, both victims were discovered inadequately dressed, a detail that left investigators perplexed. Subsequently, they found 3 more bodies, including Dyatlov himself and 22-year-old Zinaida Kalmogorova, as well as 23-year-old Rustam Slobodin. They had died while returning to the camp from the fir tree area. 4 remaining bodies were discovered in the spring after the snow had melted. The bodies were later found with notable injuries, including skull and chest trauma. One of the victims had particularly severe wounds, prompting investigators to propose various theories about the true cause of the tragedy. Investigators also found the body of 24-year-old Alexander Kolevatov in the same location, though without the same kind of severe injuries. Shortly thereafter, the most logical investigations and explanations were put forward. Although a criminal case had been opened at the end of February that year, the authorities ultimately concluded that a very strong force of nature had caused the hikers' deaths. Nonetheless, many hypotheses were offered to explain the incident, including natural factors, environmental influences, and various unverified speculations about the cause. Finally, in 2019, Russian officials ordered the case to be re-examined. According to Mr. Alexander Korenoy, the official representative of the Russian Prosecutor General's office, relatives, the media, and the public continue to demand that prosecutors verify the truth, and they suspect that something has been concealed. However, the 2019 investigation only considered weather-related hypotheses, as the notion of criminal behavior was deemed impossible and unsupported by any evidence. Then, in July 2020, investigators stated that the hikers in the Dyatlov Pass incident had died from hypothermia after an avalanche pushed them out of the tent, leaving them to perish in the freezing cold. The avalanche hypothesis continued to attract attention when 2 Swiss researchers, Alexander Puzrin, a professor of geotechnical engineering at ETH Zurich, and Johann Gaume, head of the Snow and Avalanche Simulation Laboratory at École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, published a study in the journal Communications Earth Environment in 2021. Their report stated that a large slab of snow, combined with the unique slope of Dyatlov Pass, could have created a specific disaster that resulted in the tragic deaths of the hikers. In fact, there was evidence of an avalanche at the scene. According to scientists, the terrain and harsh weather conditions in the area may have created an avalanche, leading to a dangerous situation that forced the hiking group to leave their tent in a hurry. This is likely why their bodies were found naked, with many unusual injuries. The lead author of the study, Johan Gom, told Live Science, "We cannot claim to have solved the mystery of Dyatlov Pass, because no one survived to verify the story. However, we have demonstrated the plausibility of the avalanche hypothesis." To test their theory, the research team created a model based on weather reports from the time of the incident to simulate how an avalanche could have struck the hikers. Since the hikers were likely lying on their backs while sleeping, an unexpected slab of snow falling on them could have caused serious injuries to the chest and skull without being immediately fatal. Afterward, many began to believe that the Dyatlov Pass incident had finally been explained, but that explanation did not account for everything, for example, why one of the victims had lost his tongue. Nonetheless, it is undeniable that this was the first truly scientific explanation to emerge, countering the conspiracy theories. The stories we have just explored are all based on real events that have been recorded in history and have been the subject of debate for many years. However, to comply with YouTube's community guidelines, some details have been omitted or adjusted to lessen the impact of the more disturbing elements. Even so, the mysteries surrounding the Amityville house, the Anneliese Michel case, and the Dyatlov Pass tragedy remain unanswered questions. What do you think about these cases? Which hypothesis do you find the most plausible? Do you believe in the strange phenomena that have been documented? Please leave your comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like to support quality content. Share so your friends can explore these mysteries too. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next thrilling story. Get ready, because there are many more mysteries waiting for you to discover.